Digger is delighted to bring you this podcast series, which is designed for audit and finance enthusiasts, to hear from some of the most high-profile thought leaders from around the globe. Each episode will detail the guest's journey to the top, while bringing unique insights drawn from first-hand experience on the industry's most trending topics. The podcast is hosted by myself, Linda Engelbrecht, founder of Digger, and the lead talent strategist, Craig Murray, a search and talent solutions business that operates exclusively in the audit and CA space.
Good morning to all you audit and data professionals out there, as well as the members of our exclusive Digger community. Thanks for being with us again. It gives me great pleasure to welcome our guest this morning, Phindile Jili. Phindile is currently the Information Technology Audit Manager at Standard Bank within the Cybersecurity Department and General Resilience team. She has 15 years of experience within the audit function and started her career off as an IT auditor or IT Audit Consultant in the Risk Advisory Division of Deloitte. Her areas of expertise include the assessment of cybersecurity, general controls, application controls, data analytics, and business process reviews, as well as risk management and project assurance. She has gained extensive knowledge in the financial services sector, focusing specifically within corporate and investment banking and other business banking areas. She has a proven track record of delivering a quality product on complex engagements in a timely manner, and recently led and completed a swift technology and cybersecurity assessment in the bank, which focused on security controls within the bank's payment landscape to provide an independent opinion on compliance of the bank's security controls against the SWIFT customer security program. So Phindile, welcome. It is so good to have you with us today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Craig, and thanks for having me. Thank you, Lindy.
Pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
So Phindile, the first thing that jumps to mind for me is I want to find out and ask the question, what inspired you and how did you get started in a career within audit?
Craig, thanks for that question. I've got a slightly interesting story because I believe that the IT audit career chose me. I didn't choose it because I have BCom economics. I started BCom economics in my varsity, and I had a whole plan that I'll definitely just go to, work for the Reserve Bank, become an economist. That was the plan. But now things just changed. When I was busy applying after varsity, I started putting applications everywhere and I wasn't getting any response from the places where I wanted to get into. And then it so happened that one of the big four firms reached out to me and say, hey, would you like to be part of a SAP Academy for a year? And I was like, sure.
Lovely.
Let me go. I didn't want to sit around and not do anything, at home. I went in there, and then this is when I started getting introduced into technology. So after a year of, trying to become a SAP consultant, we had choices, where we can just go into different fields within the Big Four. And one of them, it was in Risk and Advisory Division. And I was selected to actually join that. And that was the first time in my life I've heard about audit, let alone IT audit. And I remember when we went for training, we were trained around risk and controls, and that was the most confusing week of my life because I just never understood world in that perspective because I didn't even know about audit. I was never interested in it. I just find myself, So this is why I'm saying I didn't know about it, but I found myself in that space and I just decided to take it, just take it and run with it, because it was such an interesting environment. And what I understood about it, it wasn't a lot of people in the country, back in 2007, we just, get into the IT audit space. And it looked like, it would be, a great space to be in, especially for the future. So I wish I had I would have known about it, but I didn't. Got into it by chance.
Lovely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of people's experience, Phindile, is, I think a lot of people don't realize that they would love this environment, would love this career, would love to do this. They find themselves in it, or that it finds them. They see that this is something I can really enjoy. And, these are the areas within audit that I think I would, and it's about getting that exposure. I think everyone finds, or most people find themselves in it, and it's just, well, let me make this work. This looks interesting. And then the rest is history.
Definitely, Craig. And I think most of the people that I've spoken to, even though some knew about audit, but not exactly IT audit, because we're aware of the business, the financial auditors space more than the IT audit. People just stumbled on it, and they're just making a career out of it. And it's pretty much, a very good space to be in.
Sure.
Yeah, I love what I'm taking out of that conversation, Phindile, is that you took the bull by the horns, not knowing what lies ahead, but put one foot in front of the other, and then you just made it work. I think, like Craig also said, a lot of guys that fall into IT audit, they haven't known about it or they haven't been introduced to it. And then I think the resilience and the passion starts when you walk that road. And looking back, I think I'm so glad I did find that, or it found me.
You just summed it up nicely for me, Lindy. That's exactly, when I reflect back, in terms of my career journey, that's how I would actually sum it up. So just took the bull by its horns.
I think it flows into our next question so well, is that what was the expectation and what was the reality? So when it found you and you started walking it out in IT audit, what was your expectation in the beginning? And then what was the reality as you gained more experience?
Honestly, I didn't have any expectations. I literally just walked into a room that I was never supposed to be in. I'm going to be honest with you. And funny enough, when I was in, this space, I just realized that obviously there's a lot of, myths or, people talk about audit being, policemen, people are there to catch people out. There's a whole lot of, oh my gosh, you're an auditor, that's the most boring thing ever, because you're there to actually check people out, catch people out, policing people. But then this is what I realized, it's not really about that. So when, I just realized that when you get into the IT audit space, it's really just about, assisting the organization in terms of enhancing their own controls, highlighting risk and actually, helping the organization to mitigate the risks that have been, that can affect the organization. It's really about us working as a team together with, the business, together with the IT guys, together with the first line people, just making the organization better. You're also part of the team, because the main objective of it, at that time, I struggled to understand, because I've never sort of, of the back end side of things. I've always done an application on the front end as a user. So now I had to go back to understand what happens actually behind. And I realized the whole main objective of IT audit, it's really about evaluating, computer systems, computer system, and ensuring that they're available at all times, and actually making sure that the security controls in place, and making sure that the information that is processed by the system is actually protected, so that anyone who uses the information that comes out of the system, we are able to to provide an opinion that it's accurate, it's valid and complete. That's the whole thing about it. And it was like a total different view, because now I'm going behind the scenes to actually understand, how do the systems protect the data, how do we keep the systems always on, and how do we always show that the systems are always secure. So it was really interesting.
Lovely. That's lovely. That's and before I think Craig jumps into the next question, I just wanted to make a comment, because it's almost like they say, individual wins games, but teams wins championships.
Mm-hmm.
And
Definitely.
that's what you've realized. And I think that's a highlight, is that we can go so much further. I think there's even an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together.
Correct.
True.
And we can achieve so much more when we are working towards the same objective instead of saying we're working against each other. And I think that's where the policing mindset comes from, isn't it, Phindile?
Exactly.
Definitely, Lindy, because you tend to realize that the audit, like you've just explained it, you're not there to catch people out. You're actually part of the team to help the organization reach its goal. So, because everyone in the organization have different roles. You have the business people whose main focus is so different from yours. They're always about making sure that we are able to, meet our goals as an organization.
Yeah.
But then they forget to actually check other things, doing the checks and balances. Not forget, but they it's not the main thing. It's actually about making sure that get people to use the system, get people to, get more customers, adoption rate. We have a different focuses. So you do need another team in the bank who's going to say, hold up, I see where you're going and I see what your vision and what your goal. Please just make sure that you've done these checks and balances in place, because you don't want a situation where you implement a system, it's all well and great, everyone loves it, and then 6 months down the line, the organization gets a fine. Or, a huge fine. And now what's the point? Because now you are paying a fine instead of making the money for the customers, because you didn't, pay attention to the risk, and we didn't mitigate and cover, all the aspects that you need to cover to ensure that the system is secure and it's always on. So it's just one of those things.
Yeah, prevention is better than cure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think, Phindile, it's about that mindset change, understanding that it's a collaborative effort. Everyone's pulling towards the same vision and the same goal here. And like Lindy said, that unfortunately that finger pointing, and you become a bit of a hitman. Everyone tries to avoid you, it's audit time. And
no, so true, because Craig, sometimes it's important to just even let the client know when you come into the space to say, we are one team. We are working for the same organization, and we are here to help. We are here to enhance the controls, and we are here to, to make the organization great. Let's work as a team.
That's great insight. Great insight. And with everything that you said, understanding your career at the point it is now and looking in hindsight, and I think, we will also be focusing on people entering into the market, understanding that they want to, perhaps start a career in audit. What would you do differently? I think for their benefit, if you had to do it again, and what are some of the key learnings that you've learned, when looking at this as a career and, moving forward to the point you are now, as you said, you found yourself in it, and I feel a lot of people will be in the same position. But what advice would you give people moving into this space? And what did you, learn throughout the process?
Good question.
Yeah, no, definitely. If I had to give advice to people who want to move into the space, especially who just came out of varsity or college and whatever institution that they were in, once you come out of varsity, the main skill sets that you possess is okay, you don't have the competency at that level. So all you have to do at that time is just to actually trust yourself. Have confidence in yourself. Know that you can do it. And I think it's one of those things, when I look back now, I wish I could have trusted myself more. I could have had, could have had more confidence in myself. Bet on yourself, because I've realized that sometimes we get into these spaces and we get overwhelmed because you don't know much and you see other people doing great things and you try to make sense of it, and you realize that you don't have the competency at that level. So it might actually, it does get overwhelming. But I just want to say to the people that the skill sets that you come with, all you have to come with, just make sure that you are dedicated, you are a hard worker, you are disciplined. That's all we need. It's more about the soft skills you come in. It's more about your character, because you are there to learn. So everyone understand, when you're coming out of varsity, you don't have the competency. All we need is just the right attitude from you. The competency, you'll be trained, and because of your attitude that you have and your discipline and your hard work that you're going to put in, you will definitely get the competency. Just open up yourself. It's just explore as well. When you get into an environment, there'll be different, reviews or different spaces that you get into. Don't be afraid to put your hand up. Be proactive. Get yourself into the spaces that you're not used to. And this is the part of learning. It's so nice. And looking back, I wish I've just leapt, because no one expects you to know everything at that level. They expect you to just put your hand up and say, I'm here, I want to learn. And one more thing, I wish the key learning, and I wish, other people can, they can take on, is make sure you're getting a mentor at a very young age. When you get into the environment, I didn't understand the corporate world, corporate culture, how does it work? And I wish, looking back, I had a mentor at a very young age just to help me, make, better decisions, and also, help me show me, different perspective on things. So if you can get a mentor, someone's going to help you grow your skills. It's very important.
That's amazing. Phindile, I think, once a friend of mine a couple of years ago said this very profound words to me, and I've said this to young people and people in the Digger team even. And she said to me, the more you say no to opportunities or things around you, the smaller your world becomes. So it's almost what you're saying is, when you are presented with an opportunity, say yes. It's like, I think it's, what's his name? He also says, like, just say yes and you will figure it out. You will figure it out as you go.
Richard Branson.
Richard Branson. And it's almost that what you're saying, because I think even though we don't have the confidence yet, I think confidence is built. It's not plucked out of a tree. You have to grow the confidence. And the more you say yes and you step into those spaces and expose yourself, exactly what you say, and then partner with a mentor or people within the industry, within a community, I think you can reach. That's why you most probably also trying to give back, and that's maybe how you got this far in your career. So, and it leads into such a nice question, because I would love to know, who inspires you? Or is there a particular business person or professional that inspired you or still inspires you today?
Yeah, you know what? I don't have like one person that actually inspires me. I'm one of those people who get inspired every day, all the time. When, I take a different, I get inspiration from different people. And, I've just realized that, let me speak about Elon Musk. That's what I'm just fascinated about right now in my life. So, and if I look at, one thing I've realized about people who've achieved a lot in life is that they've had so many failures. And it's just that part of their world does not get shared a lot with people. So all we see is just the tip of the iceberg of their successes that they've had. But then if you get to know these people and get to understand how they got to where they are, you realize that actually they've had so many failures than successes. So it just made me realize that, oh my God, so whenever I get myself into a position where I'm unable, I did not get what I wanted, or was not able to get my goal, I just have to remind myself that, you know what, the likes of Elon Musk, those people who are like winners, everyone goes through, failures, and it's just how you actually embrace it and take lessons learned from it. So it's just different things from different people. Even the sportsmen, I think the sportsmen are the best people to actually learn from and how to be the best in your game. Even though I feel like they are really working on a different level, their mindset is on a different level, but it's the best people to actually learn a lot from them and just, embrace failure. I think that's the most important. I love people's stories about where they failed and how they've actually picked themselves up. Those are the stories that actually inspire me, that help me grow.
No, that's lovely. At Digger, we call it failing forward, basically,
Yeah.
Phindile. Those, and I think people, especially younger people, they don't realize it, they don't welcome it because, you haven't grown the muscle yet. You haven't realized, hey, it's not all going to go well, and it's okay to make mistakes, and I'm not going to get judged. And, that success is built on that mountain sometimes. Hopefully not too much of a Mount Everest of failures, but, quite a few sometimes. And I think with that being said, on that mountain of failures, it leads on to, off the back of Lindy's question as well, something that came up in my mind. And we're talking about quotes. There's always a quote that there's that one quote that we live by, or a philosophy that kind of is the bedrock in terms of, you were just talking about, how you welcome the failures and how, you saw that it was something that led you to where you wanted to be. Is there a specific quote or philosophy that has helped you really in your career?
So obviously I've came across different quotes, but one that actually has stuck with me is really about, as a person, I need to learn to get comfortable being in uncomfortable situations.
Sure.
And I think it speaks volumes to me, because I'm one of those people. Initially, when I started out, I allowed fear to overwhelm me. But then I've learned that in order for a person to grow, you need to actually, what stands between you and your goals? It's just a whole lot of fights and hurdles and challenges that you need to go through in order to get what you want. So be ready to fight it out. So get comfortable doing uncomfortable things, because this is what would actually help you grow at the end of the day. So it's just one of those things, like just be comfortable in an uncomfortable space. There's definitely a reward at the end. Yeah.
That's so lovely. It
lovely
reminds me, Delia, of a lady that I spoke to about 2 years ago, and she did. She's a professional within the genome. How do you say it? It's nutrition genomics, where they look at your DNA and how food affects our metabolism and our health and all of this at a gene level, which is quite an interesting field. And she was doing open water swimming. So I think there's this craze. I've even gotten to it where we do cold water immersion. And she had this phrase, and it made me smile when you said it, because she said, be comfortable in the discomfort.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what you said. And she said, when she gets into that cold water in the Western Cape, so she's based in Cape Town, and swim in that dark, very ice cold water, it's uncomfortable. But the thing is, you have to turn around and swim back. There's no end. So when you start feeling uncomfortable within the water, and you can't see what's beneath your feet, and the cold is uncomfortable, in that moment, you need to decide to be comfortable in the discomfort.
Wow.
And it's such a powerful philosophy to live by. And I hope people listening to this advice that you are giving and the learnings that you've got, that they would really sit in and give attention to that tension, because that's where we grow.
Agreed. I think you've just said it perfectly, Lindy. Love that.
And then tell me about a pinch me moment. One of those moments that you were like, really? Did that just happen? Or really, if I look back, is this where I am? Like, what is that pinch me moment for you?
Without sounding, weird or corny, one of my pinch me moments is actually what I'm doing right now with being in the podcast. And I just want to keep it relevant, because I was just, as I was preparing for this, I was just busy thinking, am I really going on a podcast to talk about, my career journey and my life journey? Like, I've never thought of myself as someone who can be interviewed or have a conversation about my life journey or career journey, because I've always thought my life is not that interesting. So I found it quite interesting that the people were interested in hearing my story out. And I just thought this is just a confusion for me because I've never had this on my plan, on my goals. And it was just one of those, what am I actually doing? Why am I doing this? And it just took me back to one of the resolutions that I have in the beginning of the year. It was like, I need to get myself into spaces that I'm not comfortable with, more. And I think this is one of those things that I never had it was never on my plan. It just came out of nowhere. And here I am doing it now. I don't know.
Lovely.
I'm hoping.
It's a testament, Phindile, to your mindset, and something that has gotten you to your career where you are now. Constantly evaluating, saying, I'm uncomfortable. We've been talking about it so much now, putting yourself out of your comfort zone, and we always talk about, as Lindy was saying, choose your hard. It's hard to be bored and be passive, and that pain is more uncomfortable than the pain of sitting on your comfort zone. So, well done.
Thank you.
It's really, really good, man. And those are good teachings and learnings. So, with that being said, one of the things when, we are chatting to people in our community and talking to people about their careers and where they would like to go, and presenting, the value that they're going to offer to new opportunities and things like that. We obviously always ask them, what are you most proud of in your career? Because that cuts through a lot in terms of, the value that they can bring. So, to a new opportunity, to a new career, whatever the case might be. What are you most proud of in your career up to this point?
Wow. So just looking back at my career, I'm just eternally grateful, for the opportunity that it actually given me. So, and one thing I've realized about being in this IT audit space, and I really think there was no way I could have gotten the exposure that I've gotten if I wasn't within, the IT audit space. And this exposure that I'm referring to, it's an exposure to, audit different business units, like different business processes. I work for a financial services company at the moment, and to tell you that I've actually done audit within the payments environment, and I've gotten to understand how the payments work, and I've gotten to audit the credit business unit. I've gotten to audit the insurance, the digital banking space. So this actually gives you an understanding of how an organization works, because each and every business unit I get to be part of. And I think and then I also get to understand how the business is run, because you get an overall understanding of how the business is actually run and how we're making money as an organization, And then I think the most proudest moment that I've had is when we did an audit within the payments audit space, and it was in a SWIFT environment, and I got an exposure to understand SWIFT payments, and we're the first team in the whole world to actually do like an independent assessment on the SWIFT security controls in the whole world, and to go to a point where the SWIFT company actually have a chat with us to actually understand how we experience using the framework, and if there's any learnings that can take from what we have done so far. And since then, they've actually revised the framework to actually to say all the banks, all the financial services need to have like an independent assessment done, using this framework because of the work that we've done. So it was one of those proudest, moments in my life. Like, wow, I never thought of, get myself into such a space.
That's phenomenal.
Sure. That is incredible. I think that is like Craig also say, we speak to thousands of individuals yearly about their value proposition to an organization and to a team and to the business, whether it is to their culture, whether it's to the bottom line, or how to make it more efficient. And I believe by you pioneering in this team on the SWIFT payment side and the framework, it has given you a value proposition in your career that you can add to other teams in the future, or it's such a marketability for you to say, I have been involved in that. I've been involved in pioneering and being the first in the SWIFT payment and doing a formal assessment. It is an incredible value proposition to any organization, to a team, and to your current organization as well.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So on the flip side of it, so Craig's asked you about the proudest moment. I want to ask you about a failure of yours, almost like your favorite failure. Can we say that? That you might have had or experienced. And I think, like we said earlier, is we don't want to drown in our failures. We want to use our failures as bricks to build the house, right?
Yeah.
And I believe when we fall forward, we're not necessarily failing because we're learning. But is there a favorite failure that maybe has changed your perspective, or it has maybe humbled you, or it's given you a deeper appreciation of things? I don't know.
Sounds like an oxymoron, a favorite failure. Hey.
Yeah, you see?
Yeah.
That's an interesting question, hey? Because I'm just sitting here thinking, over the years, I've stopped using the word failure because of how I used it, previously, because a failure was just a failure. It meant that I just failed at something and I'm just not good at it. And it took me a long time to understand that I need to look at failure differently, So whenever I get to a point where I didn't reach my goals, or I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do, is to actually say, wait a minute, this is an opportunity for me to go back, maybe dip in my skills or learn more and do better. And I haven't had that mindset, in the beginning. And I've always, it got to a point where I've learned to be kind to myself, and I felt like, what, I didn't bet on myself. And I think that was the biggest failure for me, is like, what, there's so many opportunities that I missed because I didn't bet on myself. And then I've decided, what, I'm gonna bet on myself. You don't have to pay anything, literally just get yourself in there. Just go and see what would happen. And I think I've missed a couple of opportunities because I'm always that person who always wanted to make sure that I've got everything perfectly right before I embark on something. But then I realized that nobody knows everything. We're all figuring this life thing. People, they just put their hand up to say, I'm willing to go the mile, whatever it takes. I'm just gonna go. And that's what is required. Just bet on yourself. I just couldn't stress it, more than that. So it's really that.
Sure, those are such important concepts. We are often our own worst critiques, and we make the mistake, as you said, that we feel the rest of the world views us as we view ourselves when we are beating ourselves up. And that's not the case. We're all in the same boat, we're not alone. And it's so nice to hear that. And I think, when we talk to so many people, we find this common thread on this journey, and that is that self-love, being kind to yourself, that comes in so many times to help you get to that point of success. It leads on to the next question I wanted to ask, in the sense that, you've relied obviously on the way you've decided to think about things and do things, but who is that one person or that one thing? You spoke about mentors, and mentors are very important, I think throughout, your life, there's always someone you're going to look up to and, go to for advice and that sort of thing. Who is that person, or what is it that you could have done or not have done this with? So, who has gotten you, or what has gotten you to that point as a mentor or someone that you looked up to?
Yeah.
On your career right now.
On my career right now. Honestly, I don't think it's a person per se, because I'm quite different. I'm one of those people that focuses more on building myself and my character first.
My mom is the person that
No, in this case, because I've done my own reflection, and I realized that what actually got me through a lot of things is just having resilience. This is what I picked up in myself, just being able to go through the difficult times and be able to, get back up and, find your way in and carry on. So I really think resilience is key in everything that you do, because sometimes it's not easy to some of the goals that you put in there, they're not easily attainable. And that means you just have to go through a long path with couple of challenges that you need to overcome to get what you need. So I cannot stress enough the importance of having resilience, to be resilient as a person, because times are different. You work with different people, and there's just so many challenges that you get faced with. It's not to quit is not really an option. If you can just be resilient, believe me, you will definitely sit and you definitely reflect and just be proud of yourself because of that. Just sticking it through. So important.
So important.
Phindile, when did you realize you were as resilient as you are? When did you start building and understanding that I am a resilient person? Was there a key moment?
I think a key moment, I'm just trying to think if there was a point in time where it's like, okay, this is it. I think for me, working for the big four firms and you just seeing other people, how they were progressing in their, careers, like fast, 1 minute you started with someone and then you hear they've actually, moved past you, they've moved a couple of, that was a great motivator. That actually makes you sit back and realize competition, what am I not doing? That the other person is doing. When someone passes you or you don't get what you want at the specific point in time, and makes you reflect. I'm like, oh no, what I'm not getting? What do I need to figure out so that I can move on? I think it's just those things that make me reflect more and like, you know what, I need to get back. If you can do it, that means I can do it too. Things like that. Yeah. Good.
And then, Phindile, what is your plans for the future in your career, especially if you kick this stone down the road, where do you see yourself, but what is your plans for the future in your career?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I always try to avoid such questions because I'm one of those people who never have like a clear, I'm always envious of people who have sense of clarity when it comes to their goals and their future. And I like to say not everyone has that sense of clarity when it comes to the goals, but I do have sort of an idea of where I would like to take my career towards. Obviously, I've been in the IT audit space and for more than 10 years. And then I've started to get more interested, to get more interest around the cybersecurity space. And I feel like I need to deepen my knowledge and get into that space quite more. So obviously, security, and ensuring that our platforms, our systems are secure. It's something that will always be part and parcel of technology. So, and I just want to get into the space. I find it so interesting. And one thing I've realized about myself, I'm a learner. Always want to learn something new. Like you get to a point where you're like comfortable in the space that you're in. It's like I'm always searching for something new that can challenge me, that they can open up my, make me wake up in the morning like, oh, I can't wait to figure it out. So it's just cybersecurity, get into that space, and obviously grow in the organization that I'm in, but within the cybersecurity environment. Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Amazing. Okay, so looking at future focus and that sort of thing, I think I want to understand your point of view, right, around leadership, and specifically leadership in this space, in the audit industry, in particular, in the specialization you have. So, what do you think we should expect of leaders? This is quite a broad question, a big question. What should we expect of leaders, and what would you like to see change from a leadership perspective in this space? And I think, looking into the future, and so much has happened in recent years, and we've needed leadership and good leadership in every aspect of society, not just obviously in the spaces that we operate in. But what is your viewpoint on that?
Sure. Leadership, it's one of those topics that makes you think a bit, take a second to actually think. Because I've reflected on this in my, in my life to say, what kind of a leader do I want? Because I always look at myself and, and try to understand what sort of a leader do I want to help me grow. Obviously, I think it's important, leaders to be strategic thinkers. As a leader, you're basically given a position to actually make changes and that no one can make. And so you need to use that mandate. So strategic thinking is very important because now you must have a vision of what you want to do with this organization. Secondly, if you're a leader, you must also remember that you are leading people. There's nothing that you can do without the people. So people management becomes a center of what you do. You should be able to, manage people, motivate people in order to achieve the vision and the goals that you've set up for your organization. So people management becomes very key because in the day, the laptop and its all won't do the work. You have to deal with a human being. And
so true.
So true. And then a leader leader requires, skills to actually influence, end of the day, once I've done the work and I've actually, given it to my leader, I want a leader who's going to be able to take it from here to here. Be able to influence and actually have conversation with people and make them see the advantages of what we do. Be able to influence and change, that environment and progress. So I think those are the key, leadership qualities that I look for in my boss and the leader, and what they can change. I think they need to be less operational because I'm not, leaders, I think they shouldn't be, I need to be less operational. Get the right people to do the job so that you can focus what you need to focus on the strategy, changing the culture if it needs to, and just, gunning for change. And then,
Very important concepts there, sure. Powerful,
Power. I think I heard one of our oldest friends say once, if nobody is following, you are only going for a walk.
I love it.
I like that. I'm taking it down.
So I think it's so important for us as leaders I always say to the team on our side is, if I'm not growing fruit, I cannot give the fruit to the team to eat. So I think a very important thing for me also with leadership and the point of view that Craig so aptly asked, I think it is such a pivotal moment in our history, in our generation, to pour into people leadership capabilities and values or cultivating a value of leadership that focuses around people and the health of people holistically.
Correct.
Because as you actually said, Phindile, is that if there's no people, there's no organization. And we were having a very in-depth conversation yesterday about health and health of people, health of clients, health just in general. And I know that there's this big topic of well-being in the organization, but I think it's far more important than just that topic.
Absolutely.
I think it comes from, it's a cascading effect that if the leaders are healthy, they can feed and cascade that healthiness or that value into the people that they lead. And it's more important than ever. So it is so important for that strategic thinking and then the human element that we need to concentrate on.
Absolutely.
So my question now is, and I think I want to take it back to the cybersecurity side that you mentioned. And we hear the term thrown around quite a bit about the future world of work. All right. And my question to you is, if we look at the future world of work and what is coming down the pike in terms of the vertical of audit, in IT audit specifically, and skills and upskilling and being a continuous learner, what do you believe and what is your viewpoint on the future world of work, the skill sets that this market or vertical in IT audit, cybersecurity, pen testing, all of that, real-time auditing, whatever it might be, what do you believe is coming down the pike for us if we have to look a little bit forward to then, upskill ourselves and be ready for it?
And thanks for that question, Lindy. You know what? I was just thinking about it. For us to be able to answer that question correctly, I think we need to understand where the market is going, what's happening outside. because what we're seeing at the moment, we have realized that, technology innovation has become, the thing at the moment. And obviously, if you look at the COVID effects, we just had a global pandemic right now, and we realize that technology has formed integral part of what we do and how we do it. Yeah. So obviously, and then we also have to understand individuals. We have realized that most people are happy to do business online, to shop online, do everything digitally. That's where everyone is going, and if you look at your everyday life, technology is everywhere. You look at the reliance, a heavy reliance of technology is everywhere. You call an Uber, the Mr. Delivery, you take a lot. That's where everyone is going, and that's where the people are. Yeah. And I think it's important. So and obviously, if you look at the big organizations now, they're also moving to the cloud, making sure that they're storing the data and the systems, the servers in the cloud. These are new concepts, and you just just have to think like what exactly do we need? What does the future world of work? Obviously, technology vision is very key. It's evolving each and every day. Yeah. We're gonna need, and especially for my industry, I really think one of the key skills that we need is data scientists, because now we have all this type of technology that is out there. We're gonna need people who are gonna help us, extract or collect this information, collect this, structured data, and structured data make us understand and, be able to actually code, script, predictive models, because now you're going to be connecting from different sources. You should be able to, be able to extract this information and then be able to, build or develop machine learnings so that we are able to extract this data and make use of it, and, make meaningful decisions out of it. So I think the data scientist skills becomes very, very important, and be able to play in the big data space and understand data. And those skills are becoming more important, even though, the cloud engineers as well. We need a lot of people getting to the space now, because now we need cloud engineers. We need people to be certified and trained in that environment. And we're going to need security experts that actually understand how that technology works in that space. So there's just a lot of opportunities that are coming through, but it's within, the data, technology, security space. That's where I see we need to grow our people on.
Sure.
Okay. They say being a data scientist, or going into that field is the sexiest. They say the sexiest career choice that a person can make now. It's a buzzword. Data scientists are everywhere. They need it everywhere. And I think, we're still developing and understanding in the different instances and different companies what that skill set is. What does a data scientist actually look like? Because a data analyst could be called a data scientist, vice versa. It's changeable, it's thrown around. And I think, if you ask 200 people, what is a data scientist, you get 200 different answers. So, it's an interesting space to be where we are right now. But I just want to dig in a little bit more on the technology side of things, because I think that's so important. It's changed the shape of the world and how we interact now and how we work. And, we're all so remote and those sorts of things. But I think from your perspective, I'd want to understand how technology has changed the way you do things, the pros, the cons, and what you see, as Lindy said, from a technology specifically perspective coming down the pike. Okay, what are going to be the benefits, and what do you foresee as the potential pitfalls or difficulties from a technology standpoint? Obviously, cybersecurity is going to play a big role there, but I want to dig in a little bit more, because technology is so fascinating now. Just from your specific experience, what you're currently doing, obviously in the IT audit space.
Yeah. Wow. Now that's a great question. So obviously, when you look at, in my world, in technology, is plays a huge role in what we do in every day. And obviously, if you want to be an IT auditor, you really want to be in a space where technology is at the forefront. That's how you can hone your skin and deepen your skills. You need to be in industries where technology is widely used. Your telecoms, your banking, as an example. You also just need to keep abreast of what's happening, what's happening in that environment, because there's just technologies change every now and then, and you just need to keep abreast of what's it's happening. And if you look at just people, individuals, customers, clients, they want services that are simpler, better, faster, and only technology becomes an enabler to assist in terms of getting those services simpler, better, faster. So technology becomes a really, really critical factor in everything that we do. So and from my side, I've always just thought that technology, and it is the career that you need to be in an environment where technology is key, and because it's going to stay with us for the longest time. And since I started my career, I've seen how important technology has become, and just looking at what happened with the with the COVID-19 pandemic. I mean, we have never relied on technology like the way we did during those times.
Sure.
I mean, it also showed us that we can actually change things. We can, we can actually work from home, and there is no requirement for us to be, sitting in an office, 5 times a week, being there all the time. These things can be done. Can we just explore technology to its fullest? I think that's where the world is going, and I think as organizations and as people, we need to embrace, the changes that are coming with it. There's a lot of, it's forever evolving, and I think we just need to embrace it and let's make our lives easier and better with technology. So it's the future. It's the present, it's the future, it's everything. Yeah.
Sure. Such wise words, I think.
Right, absolutely,
to be agile enough to make sure that you are, on the bandwagon of technology, right? You're on the right train, because otherwise you will be left behind.
That's right.
Definitely.
My next question is to do with your advice to the younger generation that might be finishing varsity now, or that's looking to start their first career. And I think there's so many voices that's out there that might be positive, negative, or the right advice or not the right advice. My question to you is, what advice would you give them? Just very pungy, short answer maybe, but what advice would you give a recently graduated college student or university student?
I think the most important thing at that stage, and it took me a while to understand that what you're looking for in life, it's already in you. Can you just start with yourself and unpacking your gifts before you start looking, outside, what you can get? It's already in you. All you need to do now is just cultivate and open up your gifts slowly but surely. No one has this life figured out. Just be open-minded that you're gonna get into a space where you're gonna learn. There's gonna be, seasons to change. Just know that all you have, it's already within you. Trust yourself, have confidence, and just move forward.
Sure.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Sure. Yeah, you are that person you want to be in the future right now. That's something that someone once told me when I was a lot younger, and it just resonated with me. And as you say, you discover those gifts as you go along when you're ready to discover them. They always say the teacher shows up when the learner's ready, and I think that's got to do with
love that.
Absolutely that type of So listen, we're going back a little bit because I think we touched on the pandemic, and it was a hectic time. We've been through a lot in this generation. We're going through a war, we've been through a pandemic, we've been through how many financial crises. A smooth sea never made a skilled sailor, they say. So as long as we're standing somewhere. But so my question to you is, it's a bit more personal now. I think we have an understanding of what happened to our industries, with the COVID pandemic and what that introduced to, what we did then and how we did it and how we're doing things moving forward. But you personally, were you impacted at that time? How were you impacted? And, if there's anything to learn and take from that, because it's a unique thing to experience. Not very many people can say they've lived through a pandemic, through business, been a leader, been a supporter, been a friend, been a colleague, in that time. What did you get from that experience that you're carrying with you now in the future?
Wow. No, thanks for the question. Yeah, COVID pandemic, for me, I think the biggest thing that I've learned from that whole period is just to understand that nothing is guaranteed in life. Anything can just change, anytime. And I think once we learn that, nothing is guaranteed and things can change, it just makes you appreciate life a bit more, so you can live in the moment, the type of thing. And then I've also learned the importance of our mental health. I think I've never heard this word so many times during that time, and I was like, oh my God, and it's in the space that I haven't really paid attention to it, but I paid attention. Mental health becomes key, how you take care of yourself mentally, how you pace yourself. And obviously, the working from home, I've also realized that there's a good and a bad side of it. Because if you're sitting at home 5 days a week, just think about it. How many steps do you take in a day in the house? So I've also realized this is actually a silent killer. I need to, be intentional about going to the gym, be intentional about doing physical activities, because sitting at home and sitting on a desk 8 hours straight out and just going to the kitchen and going to the lounge, that isn't much. I need to do more. So I have to be intentional about ensuring that I take care of my physical health, because there isn't much activity that I'm doing. And in mental health, that's the buzzword that I had, and I have to understand how do I actually take care of my, mental health as well during that time, because we couldn't even see our loved ones. It was a hard moment for a lot of people. So this is when we realized that human interaction, the importance of human interaction, because we really felt it when we couldn't even touch, feel our loved ones, and you realize that, oh my God, I haven't been appreciating this moment of just sitting down with the person face to face and having that moment.
Sure.
Powerful,
That's power.
What a blessing to come out of that's what life is. I believe it's about balance. Where there's good, there's bad. Where there's bad, there's good. We choose to find and concentrate on what we want to. So, for you, this idea of holistic well-being, which is so important, and as you say, it cast a light into that COVID across, different market segments, different people, mental health, physical health, just holistic well-being, and how the one is not separated from the other in terms of, being good at your career and what you do versus being a good parent, mother, sister, brother, whatever, and a person to yourself, and your physical well-being and all those things. So that's lovely. And of course that's going to change the rest of your life potentially.
No, definitely. And let's also learn to embrace, changes. Changes are inevitable, and we are going to have changes all the time. Let's learn to embrace it.
It's
makes
so
the
true.
life better.
Only constant is change.
Yep. Got that right.
Thank you for that. I think we all learned some valuable lessons that we can take out of it and have an appreciation of how quickly things can change and how agile we should be. I think agile also became quite a buzzword back then, and mental wellness and all of that. And I think it was a buzzword until it had to be a practice.
Forced practice.
And I think
forced practice.
Agile, Lindy and Phindile, agile and pivoting. Pivot was
also
a lot now, and to become aware of,
Sure.
Great.
I think my next question is a little bit off topic, but I want to understand, or obviously we being like Digger being a talent advisory, and we, a niche marketplace where we connect audit and analytical talent to top the top 10% of companies within South Africa or the local market, as well as in the United States on the East Coast, and then obviously into Europe as well. For us, we strive to be the best in our industry from a community standpoint, from an expertise, a deep well of understanding the industry, and then having a heart for people. It's a very important thing to us. My question to you is, what do you believe recruitment or talent agencies, talent management consultancies, whatever they are titled, can do better? And what is your experience with that? And how can the industry improve? Because I know that there's a lot of improvement that needs to come. Yeah. But I think it's so important to put our ear to the ground and listen to how we can really add value and change and be a asset and a talent partner to the industry and the vertical that we so want to affect.
And be more relevant.
Wow. Okay, that's a very hard question for me because I'm not really much. It's not really much my space. Yeah. But I'm just looking at, at my experience with the talent, advisory services or agents that I've come across. And I remember when I was starting out, I didn't have a great experience with them. Yeah. And I felt like, okay, these people, I felt like they're just a middleman. Like, why can't I just deal with the client? Why can't I just deal with with the clients directly? Because I feel like all they had, they are prep work. This is what they're supposed to tell the candidate and stick to it and do not. I always felt like the conversations were not fluid enough. They were a bit, this is what is going to happen and this is what we require. And when you try to put like a spanner in the works, just throws everything out. And I remember thinking, what? Can I just deal with the company directly? Because I feel like people need to understand that, candidates are different. And some candidates know their work, some don't. Obviously, some are in the middle. So you do find, candidates who actually know exactly what they want. And who is not, who won't be afraid to ask for it, because they know their value, they know their worth. And I think, those conversations need to be, tailor-made, understand your candidates, a bit better. And then that made me realize that I don't know if the talent advisory, companies, actually build like a pipeline of talent, that you can have within your database. Because already all the time when I had a talent, like a meeting with an agent, just because there was a job that was open somewhere and they found me somewhere. We don't know each other and they're just trying to do a match. But I was thinking maybe if your space can actually build like a pipeline of talent, people that you can have in a database that they're good in the space, in this skills or maybe in this expertise. People gonna like understand, where they are, what they want in life, and you can try and match up with your different companies. Because I like to believe that you're taking the time to understand your clients, from what culture and what works for them. Have like a group of people that you can, have in your database that you understand, like on a not deeper level, but understand what they offer, so that it can be easy match whenever there's an opening in one of the clients that you have, so that the conversation 100%. Can be much easier, meaningful. Exactly. I like meeting you for the first time because this show, and I tell you about this, you're like, oh no.
That's
so I just
true.
There is just my thoughts.
I think I appreciate that answer and respect that answer, Phindile. I think and we've realized this, and if you just take collectively, our experience within the market is about 30 years of being in the talent space, and I think we've realized very similar challenges that what you've experienced and what the market is experiencing. And I think what we are trying to do differently is to say, and I think you hit the nail on the head, it shouldn't be a database. A database is static. A database, you just dip your toe in now and then, right? Where if you cultivate a community of like-minded people, right, where you as a talent advisory can give back in a valuable way, doesn't that make more sense in terms of everybody benefits.
Yeah.
Everybody benefits within that community. It's not a static database where you become a product.
Yeah.
That you are a living, breathing individual with dreams and aspirations and different skill sets that fit a different client.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I think we can all learn from it.
Absolutely. Building around a community. And there's something, Phindile, that you said that really, I can get passionate about these things, but I'll try and stay calm. When you said, it was almost like a script that you had to follow. You didn't feel it was a consultative process in that sense, and if you veered from the script, it was like the director got upset and threw his toys, So I think the whole consultative side of it, I think in general, in South Africa specifically in the market, the market is lacking. Consultative with you, consultative with the company, and you said it. A lot of people don't know. They get a call. You say, I don't know what I'm doing in 5 years, 10, whatever my plan is. That's something that you're still working on. If you're talking to someone that is a stranger and all these sorts of things, there's all these little nuances from a consultative perspective that the person needs to assist you with, to help you with, to coach you on, to get to the point where both of you need to be. And that's lacking. It's like, I'm going to phone you and I'm just going to tell you and you just play ball.
Yeah.
Thank you for making me feel sane with that answer, because this happened while I was very new in the industry. And I remember thinking to myself, maybe there's something wrong with me. What would I have? These are, established, a talent advisory. What would I have a problem with them? But I just knew that something was just not right. I was just not happy with that.
We have to change it.
Yeah,
we have to change it.
Yeah, and it's a collaborative community effort. Absolutely, that's good insight. Thank you. And we can take it. We've got broad shoulders.
Please do.
So, Phindile, it brings you on to another thing. I spoke about this whole process being consultative, and when we deal with our candidates and we deal with our clients, we consult, right? And we do pride ourselves on dealing with the top 10% of talent on the market and working with the top 10% of companies, companies that are in their right are so successful within their space, but, also create an amazing employee experience or candidate experience. And sometimes, it's not the easiest thing attracting the top 10% to the top 10%. Okay, obviously. And I think there's a bit of an art, and I think, this is where we consult on the company side to understand how to attract the top 10%. So I'm going to get some advice from you now, and you can tell me how much you charge per hour. But basically, what do you think companies in this space, IT audit, and I mean, there's a lot of movement now, there's a lot going on, there's a lot of growth, okay, it's a candid market. What should companies be doing, do you think, to attract the top 10% to join them?
Good question.
Oh, wow. I think I'm going to send an invoice after this.
I'm telling you. I saw it coming.
Yeah. You know what? I'm just thinking about it. Thinking of a top 10%, I think we just need to understand the mindset of a top 10%, because now we're going to be dealing with people who know their worth, who know what they bring, what value they bring into the organization. And we are dealing with people who have plenty of options out there, not just in South Africa, in the world.
Internationally as well.
So if you're going to be in South Africa, you need to make sure that the companies in South Africa are able to cater for or tailor make, cater for the top 10% needs and their work preferences in order to attract them, because the competition is quite high. It's not just in SA, it's also outside. And also, I'm thinking, if you look at the top 10%, one thing that is up on their mind is obviously career progression. Those people want to grow. And if you think about, the career progression is quite key. So the companies need to create an environment where they need to be able to demonstrate how they can help the person grow, or what opportunities that exist in the company in order to attract them. Secondly, I'm just thinking, when it comes to providing competitive, packages, that is quite key, because let's be honest, no one leaves their home and to, just to start a company. We're not doing charity work. People want to be rewarded for it, and they want to be, rewarded, greatly for the work that they do. So also just looking at their needs and how you can make them feel comfortable in that financial space, that's also important. And then maybe thirdly, it's the employee experience. I think it's been quite overlooked. If I think back when I started in the industry, it was more about, I need to feel grateful that I got a job. It was more about, you need to be grateful you got a job. This company has done such a huge thing for, getting you in and providing the training. But in the day, guys, it's not just about the company. It's also the company as is gonna, benefit greatly by hiring a person like me. So employee experience, taking care of your people and making sure that they feel heard. The culture is also just, people want to have a positive experience when they go to work. And then how companies go about it, they go about in doing that, they can define that. But people want to feel valued, they want to feel heard, they want, a culture where they, when you wake up in the morning, you're not dreading like, oh my God, I'm going to work. You just want to up and go because you're happy to see the people that you work with. So employee experience is quite important as well. So it's career progression, employee experience, and then just remuneration.
And
just remember that it's global. We are competing with the global world now. So
correct. We're losing a lot of skill, unfortunately, to our global counterparts and companies that operate globally. The guys just want to leave. So
I think it's such an important point that you make there, Phindile. And one thing I want to add to that is that I believe organizations, because there's such a global competitive, like it's borderless after COVID. And I believe that a website of an organization is great. We do go there to do research before we obviously go for an interview or before you join to make sure you've done your research. But what we've believed in Digger is that you need to lead with your value proposition that makes sense for the human that's going to join you. That value proposition lies within your brand, your footprint, your culture, and your values. What your internal employees say about working for your organization. And that you need to lead with that when you start attracting the top 10% of talent in South Africa or globally. And I think that's very similar to what you say, because if I can showcase what my company stands for, what it values, what my employees inside of the organization is saying, then I believe I can attract the top 10% of talent to my company. And revenue or your remuneration will then need to follow.
100%. I fully agree with that.
Yeah, it's very important, right? Very important.
Absolutely.
All right. So that brings us to the end of the very formal questions. But now what we want to do is we want to have some fun.
Yeah, let's have some fun.
With our just 3 or 4 rapid fire questions. It's little quirky questions that can end on a high note of a little bit of fun. So the first question I have for you, I need to read it, is you've been given an elephant. Okay? You can't give it away or sell it, Phindile. What do you do with the elephant?
And it's a fully grown elephant. It's not a baby elephant. It's
not the elephant in the room, Phindile. It's just an elephant.
The key words on that question, I cannot give it away or sell it. So that means I need to make money out of this elephant. I have to create a business, get people to come and ride the elephant,
there we go.
Get people to take pictures so I can get money out of it. Because
That
there's
is
nothing I can do.
so-
How can I
Love
benefit
it.
from the on? Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that is such a clever answer.
Good answer. Okay, next one. Right. So I think it's a question that every kid wants to get asked because they answer chop chop. If you had a superpower, anything in the world, what would it be?
That would definitely be. I want to be invisible. I want to be able to go and see, get into people's rooms, get into those secret offices, secret boardrooms, see what people are doing. I also want to know what are people doing with their lives. How can I also better myself? How come some people are like billionaires and we're not? What are actually people doing? I just want to be invisible. Go to people's homes, secret boardrooms, and just sit there and listen.
Oh my gosh, that's dangerous. It's so dangerous.
Phindile, I think we need to change your name to Harry Potter.
I think so. Exactly.
Okay, last one. Okay. So if you could go back and teach your younger self something, what would it be?
If I had to teach myself something, what would it be?
Your younger self.
My younger self. Wow. I think just to believe in myself, hey?
So important.
Just believe. Bet on yourself. I can't stress it enough. Just believe in myself. That's one thing I wish I got it at a younger age. Just believe in myself. And not thinking that everyone has everything figured out. No, they're just like you. We're all figuring this life out. Believe in yourself.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Awesome.
And on that note, I just want to thank you, Phindile, for being a guest, to spend time with us, having a cup of tea or having a cup of coffee, and paying it forward and giving us a glimpse into your life and who you are. And I'm sure Craig will agree with me, and every guest that either listens or watches this episode of the Win at Work podcast will agree with me that you are so inspirational, and you've achieved a lot in in a short space of time as well. And we salute you, and we are thankful that you threw your hat in the ring to say, guys, as much as I am uncomfortable, I'm growing outside my comfort zone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for that.
It's been an education, Phindile. Thank you. It's been lovely chatting to you. The insights have been phenomenal, and the community is going to get so much value from it. And that's what it's all about. As Andy was saying, we've got to give back. You've got to give back.
Yeah. And then I just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity. And I would have thought, I never thought I would actually do such a thing, but it just made me realize that let me just pay forward. Someone might be would actually, learn from what I've, my life career and my life journey. So I'm really grateful for this opportunity. Thank you so much for this chat.
You're welcome.
Pleasure,
You're welcome.
Thank
you so much.
And so thanks, Phindile. And again, thanks to our listeners for joining us. If you would like to reach out to us, and if you want to be a part of this exclusive audit and data professionals community, give us a shout. Or if you'd like to appear on a podcast and have a chat to us, or if you know anyone that you would like to nominate to the podcast, reach out to us at www.diggerapp.io. And then I think, Lindy, on that.
Yes, on that bombshell, I'm going to end our episode as always in traditional fashion. We're going to end it off with a quote. And we chose the quote for this episode, which is aptly so, Phindile, which is from Dale Carnegie. And it goes something like this: all men have fears, but the brave put down their fears and go forward.